Vancouver, and welcome back to Canucks After Dark, the May 30th edition here on a Monday at 10 p.m. As per usual, joined by my co-host Canuck Clay. How are you doing today, Clay?
Parker, I am great. I have a non-sporting highlight for you. I watched Hamilton on Saturday and I loved it.
Nice. I got an email with the ticket offer, and I was thinking about it, and I didn't end up doing it. Didn't pull the trigger.
Are you into
Was it good?
musicals? I'm not sure if you're a musical guy. Are you into musicals?
Not really, but I'm
Okay.
into cool things. So
Fair. I'll say this real quick. As soon as you get over the fact that it's not the Disney Plus version with the original actors and actresses,
right.
it's fine. It's they're talented, they're good. The music's amazing. So thank you for asking. It was good. And how about you?
I'm good. Haven't
Yeah.
been doing much. Been playing some hockey on my own.
Yeah.
Just for fun, but nothing too crazy. Getting ready for golf season though. Looking
Good.
forward
Yeah, you
to
look
it.
like you golfed today, actually. I thought you did.
Well, I didn't, but I wish I was. I might try to get out later this week.
You look like you're on the links. I look like I just came from a youth rally. Okay, fine.
Perfect. We've got a decent chunk of stuff to talk about. A couple weeks ago, we had, I think, 8 series to talk about. This time we have 4. I guess 3, because the Tampa one ended last week before we even did our show, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But we will have 3 series to talk about, and our predictions get to keep going. We made all the exact same picks going into this one, so we have the exact same record. We'll get into that. A couple of tidbits of Canucks news as well to get to later on, which of course we will do. Where do you want to get started today?
Well, you know, it's funny. We always ask each other, and we always know that we're going to start with Canucks because we are called Canucks After Dark, and I think we can get through the Canucks stuff in the first half for sure, and then we have a lot of time for playoff talk as well. But whatever you want.
What Canucks news do you want? There's not a lot.
I know. Well, we can talk about what happened today, the announcement of today, if that works.
Sure. Let's talk about the one that came out today at 11:05 a.m. The Canucks announced an enhancement to their player development department. Yes, I copy and pasted this banner directly from Canucks.com. So basically, here's the spiel from the Vancouver Canucks. Patrick Allvin announced today they made multiple additions to his player development staff to support the growth of Canucks prospects at all levels. Daniel and Henrik Sedin will transition to new roles within player development. So that's sort of the big key. Working daily on and off the ice with young players in Vancouver and Abbotsford. Let's start with that. So they joined last year as special advisors to the GM under the former regime under Jim Benning. And after sort of a full season in that role, they go more into the player development side, which for me is something that's been sort of lacking with the Canucks. We haven't seen a lot of development, really.
You think?
But what's your thoughts on this off the bat here?
Yeah, good point. Benning, they're advising Benning as much as they could, I guess. But we know that they've been learning the ropes for the past year, and of course, they're great leaders, they're good communicators, they're good mentors, all those things. So to me, it's kind of cool, Parker. The way they said it is working daily. Okay, daily, that's fine. On and off the ice. So not just mentoring off the ice, but actually skills maybe on. That's pretty cool. And young players in Vancouver and Abbotsford. Abbotsford, of course, we think that because that's where you think of prospects, are young players as well as junior leagues and the overseas. But if that means that they're going to working with some of our younger players, whether they get called up or whether the practice roster or healthy scratches, or even some of our younger players, I think that's really cool too. So this is a slam dunk. This is another smart move by Rutherford. And I think we're seeing the evolve and the evolution right in front of our eyes of the Sedins. And who knows, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, they're heading the player department, player development, or maybe they're AGMs. A lot of time for that. This is only 1 year in, but I think it's a good move. And obviously they're the highlight of today's announcement for sure.
Yeah, and it pushes that sort of thought that we had a year ago when they announced the move from Utica to Abbotsford, right? It was okay. While this also has the impact of less travel for call-ups, right? Being able to quickly bring someone in, and that was sort of the big thing, and also getting some ticket revenue and bringing the Fraser Valley sort of into the Canucks ecosystem, having the ability to coach people for 2 teams at once, right? If there's someone struggling in the AHL that needs some extra support, you can give him NHL caliber support instead of the AHL guys who were out in New York State, right? I think it just builds more of a connection. It's an hour and a half drive. It hopefully it's something that helps develop some players, because the AHL has really been a bit of a dead zone for the Canucks. Not much has really come out of it. So hopefully, drafting is great, but if you draft a bunch of players and then they don't do anything with it, then what's the point?
Yes. Yes. And all good points. The fact, and just think these prospects that some of them I'm sure grew up idolizing or looking up to the Sedins. Now they have a true chance to work with them, as opposed to just saying, oh, they're somewhere in the organization working in some back office, on 800 Griffiths Way. No, I'm learning from them on the ice, or I'm learning how I'm being mentored by them off the ice. Awesome stuff.
Yeah. If there's any two people you could pick to learn the game from, or like, it's like, oh, we're working on the power play today. Well, that's a pretty good two people to learn some power play tidbits from, right?
Yes.
They were always known, especially in their later years of being sort of teachers out there to the players that they were on the team with, and having them just sort of get into that role a little bit more is great. They also make a couple more additions, some familiar names. The first one from a former Vancouver Canuck for about 2 seasons, a few more games in the third season, there is Mikael Samuelsson, who played for the Canucks from 2009 to 2011. So not a lot of time played for the Canucks, but about 150 games or so. And he was good in that first season, right? He had 30 goals, 53 points. In that sort of I guess that was the second time they lost to Chicago was that season, and then in the 2011 Cup run where I think he got hurt. But
correct.
So Mikael Samuelsson and Mike Komisarek, another former NHLer. So two names that people might know. Is Komisarek more so Montreal and Toronto is where he'd be known from. I didn't know he was a 7th overall pick at one point.
That's pretty good.
Never peaked 20 points though.
Absolutely. And so you want to hear something funny, Parker? When I heard the news and I knew we had our show tonight, obviously I knew we would talk about it, but I honestly thought, okay, you told us you turned 25 last Monday. Samuelsson played for us starting in 2009, 13 years ago. So this wasn't to quiz you. This is simply asking you, were you a Canucks fan when you were 12, 13 years old?
Oh,
and do you remember him? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember Samuelsson for sure.
Yeah.
Very well.
Very good, as I expected you to. But what's interesting about him is he played with the Sedins on the top line. He also found a really nice place with Kessler and Raymond on the second line. And he had his 2 best regular seasons with us, but he got hurt at the start of, or I can't remember, end of the regular season or the start of the playoff run. So he only played in half of the 2011 playoff games. And you got to wonder, we talk about the Hamhuis injury, the Rome suspension, so many things that happened when we lost to Boston and what ifs. But I forgot about Samuelsson. If we had him for the whole playoffs, of course, he did come back. But it's unfortunate. Yeah, it really is.
He was really good in the playoffs the year before too. 15
yes.
points in 12 games in the previous 2 rounds that they played in. But there's all the what ifs. We've been down the road before. So those 2 additions, again, more people working with developing players is just such an easy win. Again, there's no salary cap on coaching. There's no salary cap on management. So if you can get more good, skilled people in the door that know what they're doing, then that is great. Cameron Granato continues to oversee the player development department alongside Ryan Johnson. I still know nothing about Ryan Johnson. I've heard him talk a couple of times, but like, I don't know. Again, I sort of have a bad taste in my mouth because I'm like, the Abbotsford doesn't do anything, or the AHL team doesn't do anything. But they stay together, and then Chris Higgins still the assistant director of player development. So 2 additions, a slight reshuffling. So kind of 4 people added to the player development department. Because it wasn't really a department that was really a thing.
Yeah. No, that's true. And then as I was trying to figure this out, basically doing a mental org chart, if you have Granato as the head, as you said, and then it sounds like Ryan Johnson, who's also the general manager of the Abbotsford Canucks, assisting her, and then Higgins as their assistant. So they're kind of like the top 3. And then you have the Sedins, Samuelsson, and Komisarek. You know what's funny, Parker? Now we have 7 players in our player development department. We just got to get some players for them to develop now. Like some good prospects.
Yeah, that would help. Having some people to develop. Is there any other news in here? I'm just reading. It looks like it's just sort of stuff about the people, which we sort of already talked about.
And Commissaric's funny. Like, we know his name. We know that he was kind of obviously not a big point getter. I kind of joked around. He has 80 points in 11 seasons. That's like,
he was a defenseman.
I get it, but that's kind of like my forward output on my roller hockey team, like very bad. So, but I do remember him playing as like a rough stay-at-home kind of sturdy guy. So I guess that contradiction or that balance, that juxtaposition or whatever the word is between the skilled Sedins, then the skilled Samuelson, also known to be a vocal leader, and then Commissaric, who I'm sure is vocal as well. And it's good to have a defenseman on there too. So now you have 3 forwards and a D at least. So that's good. It's good.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if the idea is sort of, you put the Sedins for the forwards, you get Commissaric for the D-men, right?
Yeah.
It's good to have an extra, a defensive voice there.
Totally.
Because even if you're developing like a skilled defenseman, like a Jack Rathbone, put him with the Sedins, right? they can work with him. And then for a guy maybe like Jet Wu or some other sort of stay-at-home defenseman, put it with Commissaric, and maybe you can reshuffle a bit, get him involved everywhere, but you can sort of work things around that way. Maybe I'm not sure if that's what they were thinking, but
sure.
Sort of popped
and poor
in my
Jet
head.
Wu. Yeah, Jet Wu gonna have identity crisis. Didn't he play forward for a couple of Abbotsford Canucks games?
He did.
Playoff games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Okay. But yeah, I know.
I
just dropped my predictions on the floor. I just want to make sure that they stay off camera. Ooh, okay.
Anyway. I'm in trouble.
We'll see.
All right, it's great. You search Mike Commissaric, and it's like fights are what all that show up is like. It's like all the articles, and then Milan Lucic versus Mike Commissaric round 4.
Wow.
I guess they had a few tilts back in the day.
Yep.
Our other piece of Canucks news, I guess, for the week, Linus Karlsson gets signed to an entry-level contract. So Linus Karlsson, who was from the Alex Burrows pipeline, right?
It was Burrows for Dahlin, and then Dahlin became Karlsson. You got it. It. Yeah.
So sort of, Burrows for Dahlin was one of those trades that were like, oh, that's good, right?
Yeah.
You got a young up-and-coming player, and that's all fine and dandy. And then the Canucks went and I guess there was sort of some bad blood there. The Canucks trade him away. Now he's in San Jose playing sort of third line for them. And now the Canucks have Linus Karlsson, who's 2 years younger. He's a 99 birthday.
Okay.
And goes from a few years in the sort of second, the Allsvenskan or whatever it's called now, the second tier Swedish league, doing pretty well, right? Basically a point a game the last 2 years. And this year goes out and gets almost a point a game in the Swedish league. 26 goals in 52 games, 48 points, plus 10. Not the plus minus matters. That's they signed him to an entry-level contract.
Yeah, 2 years, I believe. I don't know if they've actually come up with the terms. What's interesting, Parker, is when you're right. When we traded Burrows for Dahlin, that was the same time we traded Hansen for Godolman. So we're like, okay, cool. 2 younger players. Finally, Benning is not letting these pending UFAs go for nothing. Then Dahlin doesn't work out. You're right. Yeah, I don't think he got along with coaching staff in Utica. And then it seemed like a step down, didn't it? 2 years later when we traded Dahlin for Karlsson, because we didn't know anything about Karlsson. We knew he was a 3rd round pick as opposed to Dahlin 2nd round pick. So I remember at the time I was thinking, oh, this seems to be a step down or another wasted trade. And I remember, Parker, I'm so stupid. Well, not stupid, but I was doing vlogs at the time about how Pettersson and Dahlin are going to be the next idea.
They played like the juniors together, didn't they? And they had some or something like that. They had some chemistry.
Yeah. So, maybe that wasn't the best take ever, but yeah, I'm excited. Karlsson didn't he break some of Petey's records, albeit 2 or 3 years older?
He beat the rookie goal scoring record while being 2 years older. But hey, that's good.
Yep. So, you have guys like Karlsson, maybe Klimovich and Arshdeep Bains. They're at least there's some names that are at least kind of intriguing now. I'm not saying that at all that it's a great pipeline or whatever, but Aidan McDonough. But there's some guys at least I'm interested in for sure.
And some work for the player development department.
Exactly.
I've got a fun piece of trivia for you here. On Hockey DB, how you can go to a player's page and click on show trades, and it'll show you like the history of all the trades they've been a part of.
Okay.
It also includes draft picks. So Linus Karlsson was picked in the 2018 draft, round 3,
Yep.
87th overall. So a third
Yep.
round pick. 3 years before that, in July of 2015, the pick that was used to select Linus Karlsson was traded from the Toronto Maple Leafs to the New Jersey Devils. Can you guess who this pick was traded for?
Leafs and Devils. Dave Andrechuk. I don't know.
Lou Lamoriello.
What?
So
The old guy?
Lou Lamoriello
What?
had his rights traded in 2015 from the New Jersey Devils to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then 3 years later, that pick it was then traded from New Jersey to Washington, and then to Chicago, and then to Arizona, and then to San Jose, and then San Jose picked Linus Karlsson.
That is amazing. Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah, according to HockeyDB.
Boy, thank you. That is indeed some rare trivia. Wow.
Yeah, so we have a piece of the one Lou Lamoriello trade in history, which is excellent. And that's all I've got for Linus Karlsson.
Yeah, lastly, I heard some people saying that if he doesn't make the NHL, the Canucks, he has a right to, or I don't know, a window where he can go back to Sweden. I don't know if that's true.
Like an out clause or whatever. I know that happens quite often. Okay. It doesn't always get exercised. I think if I'm a player, part of me would be like, oh, I want to be a pro NHL player one day. That's where the money is, at the very least, if you want to go that route.
Yeah.
I can either do that by going back to Sweden and trying to improve with that system there, or I can get taught by Henrik and Daniel Sedin and play in Abbotsford. Abbotsford's not the draw, but that might help, right? Keep guys back over here. There's the whole Swedish thing in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not too worried about that. But if it's the route that the team wants to go and send them back, then I guess they could.
Well, you've calmed my fears as well then too. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other Canucks news from this week that you picked up on? Those are the only two I got.
Well, the sad news of Brock Boeser's father, Duke, passing away. We knew that battling Parkinson's and most recently dementia. That's why Brock reacted the way he did at the press conference earlier, media availability at the end of the season earlier this month. So that was unfortunately not expected news, but still very sad. Parker, I've talked to you about this before. I lost my father 17 years ago, and it's never, you lose any family member, but when it comes to losing a parent, and then if there's a hockey influence, whether it's a coach, player, just a guy you listen to the games with, it certainly gave me some moment to pause. And we're all rooting for Brock. We obviously want him and his mom and his family to heal, but then we also want him to come back, and hopefully it's with the Canucks. So it's sad, but I had someone actually ask me, Parker, if I think that, and they weren't trying to be morbid, they're just simply saying, if he affected him this much when Duke was alive, won't it be worse next year? And I think, no, I can't speak for him, but it's almost freeing a little bit. You like to think, and maybe Brock can now focus more on hockey. I don't think that's insensitive to say, and that's what we hope as Canucks fans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's very sad. It's unfortunate. It's one of those things where, as sad as it is, at least it was one of those things where, they had the time that they knew it was going to come eventually. It wasn't like a sudden thing. But very sad and unfortunate. And you go back to that clip, 5 years ago, Boeser's first game, him in the dressing room reading the lineups and all that stuff. And it's sad.
It was so cute. And then at the end of that clip, Duke gets Brock's attention, says, I used to wear number 6 or whatever. That was pretty cool. I guess the other thing I was going to bring up, I know we didn't get a chance to talk about banners. So Rutherford was on either a podcast or a show where he was talking, and he kind of made nuanced references to Miller and Horvat and how they're kind of a little bit different. And people pointed that out. Did you pick up on that one?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So basically he was talking about JT Miller and says, yes, we have a number in mind. We want him back, but if we have to look at other offers, we will. He kind of left the door open that way. But then when he talked about Horvat, we're already talking to them, and we, we're very confident it's going to get done. it was just kind of a little bit different. But I think because Horvat's number is probably a little less than Miller, so he didn't say anything that did not make sense. Basically,
yeah. The lower number makes it easier. He's the captain, which makes it a little harder to lose him. There's also the option to trade JT Miller for assets, all that sort of thing. So, I'm sure. I guess you could trade Horvat as well, but I just don't see that happening. So it makes sense to me, but in my mind, Miller's the higher priority to me. I think because if you're going to do something with JT Miller, it's probably around draft time. That's when you're probably going to get the most for him. If you are going to trade him, and then if things go untouched after the draft, and into free agency, now you're sort of handcuffed. Without that, future knowledge of what his cap is going to be down the line, right? If you're going to go sign someone for 4 years in free agency, you'd like to know sort of what your cap picture is going to look like 4 years from now. Do we have $8 million devoted to JT Miller, or do we not? Right. So hopefully they can make some progress soon.
Yeah. One other thing Rutherford said, I love your reaction, Parker, is he said, the question was, if you have to qualify Brock at 7.5, i.e. you can't work on an extension just yet, and you have to at least hit that benchmark. Rutherford did say we have that cap space for that. So that's kind of, he didn't use the term last case scenario or worst case scenario, or last resort, I should say, but he did say that they've allocated at least that money. So that was kind of interesting to hear.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? I didn't see them losing him for nothing. This isn't a team that is using every possible dollar next season to try to win a Stanley Cup, right?
Yeah.
So, what's the cap difference here, right? If you were going to sign him for a longer term deal around $6 million compared to 1 year at 7.5, it's an extra $1.5 million on your books this next season. The Canucks have had a lot of extra millions on their books the last few years. This isn't, it's not that big of a deal, right? In my mind, it's not ideal, but it's manageable. If they were really stressed out about $2 million in cap hit, $1.5 million in cap hit, they would have pushed more to get rid of that Halak, money, for example, or done something there. I think for a player like Brock Boeser, even if some people don't think he has that much value, worst case, you qualify him and then trade him at the deadline and retain half the salary for the rest of the year as a rental, even, right? And you at least get something for him. But that's probably not the route they'd go. But there's no losing him for nothing gets you nothing. Like there's no downside other than a little bit of extra money this year to just hitting the qualifying offer and then either trading him down the line or working on the extension later on in the year.
Excellent segue, talking about retaining salary, talking about Miller, because Justin asked this, and it's a great point. Thoughts on Elliot Friedman saying teams have talked to the Canucks about retaining salary on Miller, and are the Canucks willing to? And then he follows up with a $2.6 million cap hit, for example, will be a steal for any team acquiring him, but will definitely increase the price in a deal.
Could you imagine being a team competing for a Stanley Cup and being able to add a player like JT Miller for the entire season at less than an 80 to 90 point player potentially, even if he falls off and is a 70 point player for $2.5-3 million on your cap? That's so absurd that would drive the price up, right?
Yes.
And the problem is you're almost getting into pricing him out territory again, right? I think, what is that? What's $2.6 million worth to a team, right? Yeah. Remember that Patrick Marleau contract the Leafs traded out? What was that worth?
Good. That's a good call. A good pull.
I'm gonna pull that up here. They traded a first and a seventh. What was his cap hit? 6.25. So we have precedent that 6.25 million of cap is basically worth a first. Maybe it's not that case now, but with a flat cap, maybe that is the case. So, a second or a third, just to throw it in the mix, or like a B-level prospect extra on top just to retain half that salary, right? I mean, if you're a team that's willing to go splash a first round pick and like a top tier prospect or something for JT Miller, and then the Canucks say, hey, do you want $2.5 million off your cap as well while we're here? And you just throw in a guy who's not going to play for your team for another 3 years, right? I think that's a play you could probably make. And I think that'd be a very attractive option to a lot of teams.
Yeah, and I do it's an attractive option to the teams that get Miller. For the Canucks, though, I don't know, because Rutherford keeps talking about how they're trying so hard to create cap space. They have to untangle a bunch of things to create cap space.
Well, it's just for
And
this year, right?
yeah. No, that's
Right.
true. Yeah,
It's
it's a good
only
point. Good point.
it's $2.6 million on this year's cap, and then you don't have, and then you're not paying Miller $8 million the year after, right?
Yeah, and you're getting
So
those assets. Good point. Yeah.
I think $3 million again. We just talked about 1 million, 1.5 million. Again, this isn't a team winning the Stanley Cup this year, right? There
Sure.
might be a team. They might be a team in the playoffs this year, like hopefully.
Right.
But it's not going to be because of $2.6 million. The reason that they go from 7th or 6th in the West to 12th in the West, right?
Right.
Losing JT Miller will have more of that impact than that $2.6 million in the cap would.
And that's fair. And just to wrap this topic up, those are good points actually about the 1 year. I just, for me, I just see Holtby. We still got a 1.9 on his buyout. I know Virtanen, remember him, 500 grand. So that's 2.4. Add Miller's 2.6. Now we're at 5. And then he'll act like some sort of bonus. So yeah, I'm just saying that's now that we're up to 5.5 million of dead money.
That's almost a whole Louis Eriksson
for 1 year and maybe same amount of points. Okay, fair enough. You got me.
Awesome. All right. The only other thing I saw it brought up earlier, I don't have it anymore, but Canucks aren't looking at bringing back Tony Uutinen or signing him, but he was like a fifth round pick, I think, like 3 years ago. Tony Uutinen, 5th round pick in the 2018 draft. So 4 years ago, picked in the 5th round. He's a defenseman. He in his SM League. What league even is that? He played for the Pelicans. That's the Finnish league. So he played in the Finnish league and had 11 points as a defenseman. He's 5'10", 178. So he's my size as a defenseman. That I'm not NHL player sized. I'll give you that much. It was a 5th round pick. If they don't sign him, they don't sign him.
Agreed. Yes. Move on. Not you move on. I think they can move on from him without, sweating too much.
Awesome. All right. We want to get into playoffs?
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to start with the East.
Okay.
I think we talked about Tampa, Florida last week.
Yeah. Were they done on Monday?
And if they weren't, they were close, right?
Well, yeah, because their games.
Yeah. The Lightning ended the series because they played back-to-backs. They played Sunday, Monday. And Tampa Bay ended the series last Monday. So we already talked about this.
Okay.
So that's one.
So we can both say that we got Tampa correct, but we both picked Tampa in 7, not Tampa in 4.
4. So that's unfortunate. The other series ended tonight, and it didn't go the way I thought. The New York Rangers taking down the Carolina Hurricanes 4-3 in Game 7. The score wasn't 4-3. They won this game 6-2. It was 2 dominant games, Game 6 and Game 7 from the Rangers, down 3-2 in the series. Just go out, run away with Game 6, go up to a 3-0 lead at one point, and then in this game they were up 4-0 4 minutes into the third period, and basically just ran away with this one as well. Trocheck scored to make it a little interesting, and then Hedl scored 30 seconds later and ended it. It was it was weird because Carolina seemed like they were such a strong team coming in, and once again they run into just some team and lose. Right? I think it was Boston last year. They beat the Rangers last year to get to that point, and this year they run into Shesterkin and they fall apart on the road, and then they just can't. They couldn't get a save. The Ranta gets hurt, and the rest is sort of history.
Yeah, that when Ranta got hurt, it looked painful firstly, and then poor rookie goalie gets scored on right away, and then they scored again. So it got up to 4-0, and then you're right. Carolina scored their first one 4-1, and it was so funny, man. I don't know if you saw it. Ray Ferraro was right in the middle of saying, "Oh, if they can get the next one, at least they can feel good about themselves and maybe come back." And then as he was saying that, the Rangers scored their 5th goal.
Hedl scored, yeah, and it wasn't a great one either. It's unfortunate for the goalie, right? Pyotr Kochetkov, right?
Yeah,
that's a name I'll tell you I had never heard before.
Yeah.
2nd round pick in 2019, but I mean he's played 7 NHL games coming into this point, so it's tough, right? It's a tough spot to be put in for Pyotr.
Yeah, and I know we're gonna get to this when we do our predictions, but Shesterkin, oh my gosh, some of the saves he was making, and he made like guys like Aho and Svechnikov and Teravainen and made them look normal, mere mortals. Yeah,
Yeah, Shesterkin is a very good goalie, and I mean he's sort of been almost under the radar at points of the playoffs, right? Because the team, what they were playing bad at on the road, just like
yeah,
Carolina was. They were sort of just trading back and forth. I
yeah.
mean, Shesterkin is a 928 save percentage in the playoffs so far, right? 14 games, eight wins, 5 losses. I mean, it's not his regular season where he had a 935, but
Oof.
a 928 was good enough to get him through 2 rounds. And we're going to have a goaltending war coming up here in the third round. Probably not a lot of goals being scored here, I would imagine.
Yes, it's gonna be crazy. Vasilevsky versus Shesterkin. The other thing too is what were we saying about? Oh, and those amazing stats you just rattled off for him in the playoffs. That's after he got pulled once or twice in the Pittsburgh series too. So it's he's had a really good run in the last
Yeah.
little bit for sure.
He
Yeah,
is he's very good. I mean, you look
yeah,
at the last 5 games because that's what the NHL thing shows. So, because they had to win 4 of the last 5,
Mm,
the Rangers, right, to win
yeah,
this
yeah,
series. Because I think they were down. Were they down 2-0 at the start of the series? Yeah,
yeah.
Carolina won the first 2 games. They had to win 4 of the next 5. These 5 games, starting from game 3,
Yep,
Shesterkin stops 43 of 44.
that's good.
The next game, 31 of 30. So those are their 2 wins. They lose game 5. He stops 31 of 34. So not bad, 9-12. Uh, then game 6, he stops 37 to 39. Game 7, 37 to 39. So they put up 40 shots basically in 3 of those 5 games, 3 of those 4 games that the Rangers won. So I mean, that's a real that's a real help when you have a goalie back
Yes.
there making all those stops.
Isn't it funny how maybe, although New York has some talented offensive players, we know that Tampa obviously does. Isn't it funny how different the two series might be? The Eastern Conference series might be a goaltending duel, and then everyone's expecting fireworks in the West.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's going to be a weird jolt from one day to the next. We say that, but then we look at what happened in the Edmonton Calgary series, and we'll get to that, and nothing makes sense in this world. So who knows? It could be the exact opposite.
So to wrap up our predictions on the East, we both got Tampa, but not in the right number of games. So 3 points each in our little pool, 3 points for the right team, 1 point bonus point for getting games. And we both had Carolina in 6, so we didn't get games, or of course, or the team. So on the East side, we both picked up 3 points in our little competition.
I'm
Not even
only
competition.
tracking the difference at this point.
Well, easy to
it.
yeah. Okay, fair enough. On to the
So
West.
On to the West. We get Colorado, St. Louis, a series that I think we both had Colorado in 5, ends up being Colorado in 6, but you see Colorado in 6 and you might think it went a little bit different than it actually did.
Yeah.
St. Louis winning Colorado won game 2 in overtime. St. Louis sort of ran away with game 2, so we're 1-1, and then Colorado wins games 3 and 4 fairly well off, and that's after the Jordan Binnington injury, which we talked about last week, the whole Nazem Kadri situation. St. Louis stays alive in game 5, and one that was just sort of a heartbreaker for Colorado, because there was that Nathan McKinnon goal that should have, if that had been the series winning goal,
Yeah.
that Nathan McKinnon goal was insane. I got so many text messages after that happened from people who I don't ever hear from, and they're like, "What was that?" like that was absurd. And then St. Louis scored and then won in overtime to sort of to kill that, and then Colorado ended up winning it on Friday.
Wow. And that the way Colorado won it looked like that game was going to go to overtime. And didn't Helm score with like 6 seconds left or something?
Darren Helm with 6 seconds left. Yeah, beats I guess it was Husso and net still, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Husso
all
played
5
fine
St.
that
Louis
game
guys
too.
were going back towards the crease, and Helm actually made it. Whoever the Colorado guy passed it was really good. Just put it off the sideboards. Helm skated up onto it, and no one was on him.
Yeah, Logan O'Connor got the assist. So a couple of unlikely heroes, right? Like it's the fourth line for Colorado, right? Eric Johnson getting an assist on that one as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty unlikely trio.
That's true.
Finishing that one off.
You have your fourth line out there just making sure that gets to overtime, right?
Yeah.
You're not giving up anything. And then boom, they win. They're on to the next round. Lucas, we should acknowledge his donation. Thank you, Lucas. Is the Blake Coleman? Okay, we'll get to this, but yeah, is the Coleman kick deja vu for Buffalo fans in the 1999 Cup final? I swear Buffalo fans would have wanted what Calgary got instead. Bizarro land. Okay,
we'll talk about the kick next.
But thank you,
thank you though, Lucas. Do we want to talk more with this? Any sort of takeaways from the series? I mean, Colorado ran to a backup goalie, right? I mean, Husso was good in the regular season, wasn't that good in the playoffs here. Put up an 890. It is against Colorado. It's a tough team to go up against, but the injury to Binnington really hurt the Blues.
Yes. Yeah, it certainly did. And I think the other takeaway for me, Parker, was Makar came back to earth a little bit. He had an amazing first round series, and then McKinnon, I think, was the stronger player in this series. So now I've seen, Conn Smythe betting odds, and they're much more equal than it was after first round, where everyone was saying, "Oh, Makar, he's going to run away with this thing." Yeah.
And it is funny that Makar still has 1.3 points per game as a defenseman in the playoffs, right? Like, only 3 points in the last 5 games of that series, right? Not that great.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, he's such a good player. I guess, he only had 3 points in that series, 3 assists, which for most defensemen you'd be pretty happy with. But Makar's standards are a little bit higher. So Colorado moves on. And this is the series that I don't think either of us expected. We both had Calgary in 6.
Boy, that was good.
Yeah, and I thought I was being a little generous to Edmonton at the time. And boy, were we wrong. And this one started off with fireworks, right? That 9-6 game 2 weeks ago, where I think Calgary was up 5-1, and then it was 5-5, and we talked about this last week, I think. But then I think it was 6-6, and then Calgary scored 3 in the third period to win it. It was just a bizarre game. The problem is that then Calgary's defense, which has been their best, their best strength, right? Their Daryl Sutter hockey, completely fell apart on them. They allowed 30 goals across a 5-game series, 5 goals per game on average, 6 in game 1, 4 in game 3, 5 in the rest. Jacob Markstrom was not good, but the team in front of him was also not good. And Edmonton used their offense to just sort of run Calgary out of this series in just 5 games.
We heard that Tanev was separated shoulder and a bunch of stuff. Like, what a warrior.
Yeah.
And was there anything about Markstrom being hurt, Parker? No.
He said he wasn't. Nope. He said he's fine.
And he said that, and he's a stand-up guy. He would be the first.
He said he was like, I was feeling good, honestly. Okay. I just, wish I made more saves, is basically what the gist of what he said was.
But yeah, the Edmonton's players, I guess they're, especially their forwards, I guess there's a lot of depth there, like kind of sneaky good depth between McDavid, Draisaitl, Yamamoto, Kane, Hyman, Puljujarvi, Nugent Hopkins. Like there's 7 really good players I just named. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but the Calgary guys didn't show up. Like their forwards, I was so surprised. I really was.
Yeah.
In 5
games. Well, I felt that it should have been more with that Blake Coleman goal that did not count in game 5.
I was following your tweets when it was happening. You were pretty funny, man. You were pretty funny.
I was so confident. I'm like, that's a goal. Right. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of discourse. And the thing is, right when it happened, every single person on Twitter was like, no, that's no goal, or that's a goal. Sorry, we're good. That's a goal. Yeah. It went off his skating in. And the next day, a lot of people flipped sides. I think it's because they wanted to be right. They're like, oh, everyone, the NHL said it was no goal. Yeah, it was no goal. Here's the thing. And then so the line that they went is it was intentionally redirected, right?
Okay.
He intentionally directed it into the net. Now, that's technically legal by the letter of the law in the rulebook. All the rulebook says is distinct kicking motion.
Right.
And again, it depends what you think is a kick, right? Is this a kick, like a push, like a slide, right, but that's a stop in my mind, right? You're stopping. Yeah. Kicking, to me, there's some sort of pivot to it in my mind, right? There's, if the knee's here, I got to see some sort of lever going on, or like the foot to do something. But if it's just,
let me bring up the protractor and just see.
Yeah, there's got to be I need some math here.
Yeah.
so I did a breakdown of it on my channel because it really looked like it looked like a good goal to me. And my real and then look, I'll even give you he probably tried to do it on purpose,
Yeah.
but you have
Yep.
to have conclusive evidence to overturn a call, right? It was called a goal on the ice. They said they had seen enough, I guess, to do it. It took them 8 minutes or whatever to figure it out. And in my mind, if something takes 8 minutes, you probably aren't that sure about it. Because how many times are you looking at the same clip over and over at
Yeah.
1/25th speed to figure that out?
Yeah.
Again, no skin in the game on my part. I'm
Yep.
a neutral bystander here. I
Mhm.
just thought it was wild that they made that call, and Edmonton ends up winning in overtime with Connor McDavid.
And it's so crazy too, because that play, the Coleman goal, it's not like he skated unimpeded into the crease. He hit Smith's pads. He was getting shoved by Cody Ceci. Some were saying he was trying to stop so he didn't go flying into the crossbar. Others were saying he was trying to avoid. Others are saying there's no way that a player that in that short amount of time span can make the conscious decision to kick it in. Others are saying, no, these are top class athletes and they could do whatever they want within a split. So it was just fascinating. And then even, did you see on the panel where it was Elliot Friedman was saying there's no way that should count. And it was Bieksa and Jen Botterill saying that, no, that shouldn't count. It's so fascinating.
Yeah. And again, when you have that much discourse back and forth, in my mind, that's not conclusive, right?
Yeah.
The only one thing I can, of the things you mentioned, the only one thing I can say is you mentioned people saying there's no way in that amount of time you can make the conscious effort to kick it in at that point. You totally can.
Okay, that's good to know.
You easily can. I could, right? I could see it as I'm falling, and then I could be like, oh, puck, and like stick my foot out, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is probably what he did. But yeah,
Right.
I think that argument's not true, because I think
that's fair. That's
pretty
fair.
easy to. I think instinctively it's what you would do, right?
Yes.
I think that might have been what happened there. But other highlight of this series, the Rasmus Anderson goal, of course, on Mike Smith from his own end. That was beautiful. I love to see that.
It's funny. I love your perspective because you play as a defenseman, right?
Usually, yeah.
Okay, so I had a roller hockey game on that day, and I suck. That it's funny, that whole Blake Coleman not being able to stop or not being able to catch it. I'm thinking in my situation, I'm just trying not to make sure that I don't cuss myself against the post. But having said that, that night we were talking, and I was talking to my goalie, who's pretty good, and he was saying that if the puck hits that perfect height where you kind of lose it amongst whether it's the top of the glass or the lights or the fans. That's why Smith reacted the way he did. And he can't blame anyone else. Except himself, but he actually didn't see it. So it's not like he's so uncoordinated that he missed it.
Yeah. And if you think about it, right, if it's like the right height, either it's like, I mean, if you're imagining sitting in the crease of a net, right, you look up and past the, anything above the boards, right? If everyone's wearing blue in the stands, right, it'll kind of fit in. Or I saw people say that it could have just been like the shot came as like the defenseman was crossing over, and it was just perfectly aligned with their dark navy blue jersey, and you just didn't see it, right, until it was too late. You just see something flying by you, and you panic, and you get confused, and you go, what just happened, right? Which I think is mostly what happened there. I mean, it's unfortunate for Mike Smith. I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Yes. Did you feel bad for him at all, or did you?
No.
Okay.
I never feel bad for Mike Smith. I think it's funny. I think it's funny when he gets angry, which is a lot at the time.
Have you noticed, just a quick aside, have you noticed that the goalies that get mad are usually the bigger guys? Like Leonard has a temper.
Aren't all the goalies bigger guys at this point?
That's true. Although, actually, that completely flies in the face of the feisty Dan Cloutier, the feisty Billy Smith of the Islanders. So forget I said that, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Anyway.
Fair enough.
Yep.
All right. Should we do it? Should we make our calls on the next round?
Okay. So just so everyone knows, yes. So we both got Colorado we said Colorado 5, they won in 6. So we get 3 there. And then, yes, we both got skunked on the Calgary Edmonton. So
I'm down 2.
Yeah.
Which means to flip it, either I need to get the games right in both of these series and Clay doesn't.
Right.
Or I need to go off the board a little bit here.
Right.
So I've locked in my picks. He hasn't seen them. I don't know his picks. I have them written down. I can't change them. But I have gone off the board with one of my picks.
Yeah.
In hopes that it hits and I get the lead back going into the finals.
So Parker, I love this
Otherwise,
because
if this backfires, I'm done, and the prediction doesn't matter.
and that's funny. So we'll take you guys. You guys know how I love bringing you behind the curtain a little bit. Right before we press record or go live, Parker and I were talking about without giving each other our picks. We were talking about the nuances here, and Parker, he basically had to decide tonight: is he going to make his move now and go and pick a different team than I'm pretty sure he knows who I'm going to pick, or does he wait until the final if it's two evenly matched teams? But then he's only got a 50% chance of guessing who I'm going to pick. He picks the opposite, and he might not even want to take that team. So it sounds like you're making the move right here.
I am like a poker player down to his very short stack, and I've got eights, and you know what? Now is my time to go in. If I'm waiting for the perfect hand, if I'm waiting for aces, I'm not going to get there. So I got to make my move now. So let's start off with the Tampa Bay, because we start in the East. We'll stick with the East. Tampa Bay Lightning, New York Rangers. Tampa Bay, the underdog, because they were the 3rd seed and the Rangers were the 2nd seed in the Metro, right? So you're obviously taking the Rangers to help me out here.
And just before I help you out, brother, we never decided where the wager was.
We still haven't decided what the wager is.
Okay.
Nor have we done for our preseason predictions, which we still haven't totaled up yet.
Okay, who cares? We'll figure it out.
We'll figure something out.
Okay.
We'll make them the same for each, so it can even out maybe.
Okay. Okay, I have my piece of paper that I'll reveal in 2 seconds, and I know you prove your worth to me. You didn't have to prove anything to me, but 2 weeks ago, when you let me go on my whole song and dance, and I think it was the Carolina one, and then I actually said Carolina in 6, and then you said, oh, good, because I picked the Rangers, and then we were all giggling, and then you said, actually, I picked Carolina. So that proved to me that you're a man of integrity.
I should have stuck with that. The Rangers won too.
I know. You'd be beating me by one.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Here, I'm even gonna write them down on my phone so I can actually hold it up.
I believe you. I know. I believe you. Okay. So obviously we've talked a lot about what makes the Rangers so good, and it's obviously their goaltender, but he is meeting his match, if not a superior, in Vasilevsky. Originally, I had Tampa in 6 originally, but I think Shesterkin can steal 1, but I'm not sure he can steal 2. So my prediction is Tampa in 5.
All right. Now, my thought process here was Tampa Bay is the better team.
Okay.
Right? And this isn't the series that I'm going to make my move on. Tampa Bay, this is the series that it's too risky. I think Edmonton has a better shot of beating Colorado. And now that I'm saying it, I'm kind of thinking maybe I'm wrong here. And maybe Tampa Bay does have a better shot at losing than Colorado does, but maybe something weird happens, right? Colorado ran into St. Louis a little bit. Maybe McDavid goes crazy. So I took Tampa Bay. I did take Tampa Bay in 6, however.
Okay.
So that is an opportunity for me to potentially get a point back. However, I feel, again, I said 6 because I assumed you'd go 5.
So you read me again. So at a poker,
well, I knew you never go 4.
Yeah.
And it's a mismatch. So I thought you'd go 5.
Well, you do, man. I'm scared to play poker against you. Your 8s, you would take my ace king all the time, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay. So I wrote it down in my little spreadsheet. Tampa 5 for me, Tampa 6 for you.
All right.
Do you want me to go first for this one too? Build it up a bit?
Sure. Okay. I mean, you know what team I'm taking. It's not the better one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, apparently. So friends, you guys know after Vancouver, it's Winnipeg Jets. And after that, it is Tampa, who I just talked about. And then after that, it is Colorado. And I know Justin in the chat would agree. He knows that these are my 2 favorite teams. He's also called Colorado versus Tampa from the very start. So I can't wait to see McDavid and Draisaitl take on Rantanen and McKinnon. I can't wait to see what McCarr does. He doesn't have an equal on Edmonton. I think that the McDavid
Duncan Keith is a hockey player.
He was good. I do think McDavid and Draisaitl, just like Shesterkin, can steal 1 or even 2 games. So that's why I have Avs in 6.
Yeah. Looking back, I'm now that I've thought about it, I do think New York, I think the Rangers have a better chance at beating Tampa than Edmonton does at beating Colorado. So
Yeah.
I do regret that a little bit, but we'll see. Although again, I think Carolina is so much worse than Tampa Bay. I really liked Calgary's odds against Colorado. However, even though Edmonton beat Calgary in 5, I still would like Calgary over Colorado more than I would like Edmonton over Colorado.
Right.
Just I think their play style matches up better. Edmonton is trying to play a similar game to Colorado, just with less depth, basically. So for this is where I have to make a move, and I am taking the Edmonton Oilers in 6 games.
Wow.
Because I don't think the games really matter at this point. I just need them. I need to be right. Now that I know that you went 6 for this series, I'm almost wishing I went Colorado in 5.
Because you could have made the difference up. Yes.
Then I could have made the difference up with that and the Tampa one potentially.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm all in. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I've got the Oilers in 6. I don't want them to win. I'd much rather Colorado win. I'd rather see them win than win this bet, which has no stakes apparently yet.
You're getting a lot of love, though. Honestly, man, you're getting a lot of love in the chat. I think a lot of people are going for the Oilers or picking them to win.
So that's my pick for this. My real pick, just because of all you people saying Oilers in 4, Oilers in 6, my real pick is Colorado in 4. All right. If I had to actually put money on it, I'm taking the Avs in a sweep because that would be way more fun for me.
And there's the heel turn, everyone. There's the heel turn.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think most likely it's a Colorado in 5 or 6. But we'll see. Maybe Edmonton does something crazy.
So you answered my question, Parker. I was going to ask you, if there's no such thing as this fun little wager that we haven't even determined what we're wagering, who would you actually pick? So you answered it with Colorado with a sweep.
I don't know if I'd actually go 6. I'd probably go 5, but
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, that is awesome, man. Okay, so to recap, I have Tampa 5, you have Tampa 6. Actually, I kind of like your pick better now. And then I have Colorado 6, and you have Edmonton 6.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, 2 points is negative. Heck, if you could actually come out of here 2 points up on me.
2 points.
Yep.
I could come out up 2 points if I'm lucky, and then
swing.
you'd have to make the push in the final.
Yeah. Or the 4-point swing could go the other way, and I could be up.
I could be down 6, and then I'd have to think of some way to make it up. I'd have to go, well, can we add a point for leading scorer, and try to add all these different parameters to try to take it. But
this is fun. This is good. Nope. Yeah. This is gonna be exciting, man. This is gonna be exciting.
Awesome. All right, we've got to take some cues. Maybe we got 7 minutes to go here.
Okay. Okay.
So, folks, if you want to get some questions in for us, whether it's Canucks related, NHL related, other stuff related, I don't know. It's I got sirens going on in the background.
Yeah, exciting out in Surrey all the time.
I live. There's sirens out here. There sure are.
I won't give away where you live, but obviously I've been there because people saw that. I've been there a couple times, but one time we did the show. Is that neighborhood safe though? Relatively?
Oh yeah, it's chill.
Okay, good.
I haven't died yet.
Yeah, you don't look like you get fazed by anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be fine. I drive everywhere. All right. What do we got for questions?
Easy one.
What's the bet? We don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem. We don't know yet. We'll definitely take next week. We keep saying this because we haven't even done our preseason wrap up yet because there's always something to talk about. There's always something to talk about. Yeah. We'll figure it out. It might be retroactive.
Yeah. I'm not gonna make it lesser because I lose, right?
Yeah, you're a man of integrity. We've established that. Fangirl 1053. Do you think the Canucks make the playoffs next season?
Are we putting odds on, or are we saying yes or no?
No, no odds just yet, and we're not adding it to the bet. We're just.
No, I'm not saying like that. I'm saying because if my yes is a 55-45.
Yeah.
So it's a yes, but there's a lot of no in there as well.
I agree. I pegged them as a 97, 98 point team. I think they sneak in.
You're just gonna say 90% to make the playoffs. I was gonna say that's ambitious.
We should bet on that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you had that would be a good bet to take.
Marjorie 1054. Will Horvat get a contract before the season starts, or will management wait Another year. That's a good question.
I don't like waiting.
Yeah.
It's riskier to not wait, I guess. I don't know. It's also risky to wait because then he can just say no, I don't want to come back, and then he leaves, right? It's just always for certainty, right? It's nice to know what your cap is going to look like 3 years down the line, and then it makes every move. You can sort of map things out, right? You can be like, hey, well, 3 years down the line, the cap's going to be 88 million, and we have this here, and we're going to have these spots to fill. Let's start looking at that now, right? And just plan ahead, not take it day by day with plotting things out on paper and spreadsheets.
I agree with you completely, Parker. I think despite what we saw with Boudreaux, because that was a bit of a weird situation because of the option year from both of them, I do see this group doing things, even though they've been slow so far. Well, they made so many changes off the ice and not a lot on the ice. I see them trying to make decisions quickly, but good decisions quickly as opposed to waiting. I agree with you.
Yeah. You might as well just get out of the way. There's what's going to change, right? Is Horvat going to put up 20 points this year? And then you're like, oh, well, now you only get $3 million or whatever, right? Like, I doubt it. I think we sort of know what Horvat is, and it's going to be pretty much the same deal regardless.
Yep. That's good. That's good.
Cody asking if we foresee a trade for a second, because the Canucks don't have a second round pick this year, if I remember correctly. Do you think the Canucks, this is always a thing that's been weird to me, this sort of idea of, oh, well, we got to get back into this round that we don't have a pick in. It's like, why?
Yep.
There's the rounds are pretty arbitrary, right? Like just everyone gets like, why not just get a late first or an early third or a fourth, right? Whatever you can. Like pushing to fill a spot that you don't have is kind of weird to me.
Although I guess it sort of helps in setting some parameters, but I hear what you're saying, especially if you're not picking, let's face it, if it's out of the first round, generally you're batting 50-50 or whatever, 500. If your second round pans out, then after that, it's a crapshoot. It really is. So,
yeah.
But I guess having said that, obviously the second round is the second best chance to hit. So maybe that's why some people want us to see us have one. I don't know. I'm just glad we have a first this year. And as long as we don't move it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Scrolling up a little bit. Anything else you're seeing? I'm seeing all these Oilers and whatever. Well, you guys really like the Oilers, eh?
They do.
You guys not watch Colorado here?
I know crazy. Shannon's from Edmonton, so I know she loves the Oilers, and I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people. I don't, but I respect people that do. I think a lot of people want a Canadian team to win. I really do.
I don't.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you. We talked about this, but props to anyone who does. Yeah.
So we can fly to Edmonton, $49 each way. The problem is tickets to the game are about $400 to $600. Thoughts?
How's your YouTube channel doing? I know mine's not doing that good, like not enough to do that.
So that video I put out of the no goal, I have made about $13 on that. So that's 13% of the flight.
Do that video 9 more times, man.
And then the flight's covered, and then we're supposed to pay $400 for a ticket.
Well, yeah. Then I don't know.
Would be fun though.
Too bad we didn't sell more Manscaped.
Yeah, you guys didn't buy our great ad reads.
Maybe if I contributed a little bit, but no, I don't think that would have made a difference. As in reading the ads, not in buying. Never mind. Okay, stop. Let's focus.
Edmund, do you guys want to sign Troy Stetcher back?
Right side already kind of log jammed. If Pullman comes back, Pullman, Shen, Myers, Dermott can play on that side. Is he an improvement? Parker over two of those guys?
Yeah, would you rather have Pullman or Stetcher?
Stetcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made $1.7 million this year. I don't think he gets that again.
No,
he's 28. There's no real upside, right?
Yep.
I can't believe he scored 23 points that one year, 24 points in his rookie year. He had 3 points this season in 30 or 29 games. He didn't play a lot. I mean, yeah, if you can sign him for a league minimum, sure, right? Then you can put him in the AHL if you need to. But I love the guy. I just don't. Yeah. There's not a lot of upside there. I don't think it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, you think he'll actually You don't think he'll make a bit more than that, like a 1.2, 1.3?
He was a scratch most of the year
Yeah, that's
in
true.
Detroit,
Yeah.
right? Like he was stuck behind quite a few players, right? He got
Yeah.
dethroned by Gustav Lindstrom, right? Like he just lost his spot in the lineup. Got traded to LA, scored a couple, got 4 points in 4 playoff games. That's more points than he had the entire regular season.
True.
But I mean, that's a 4-game sample size, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
It is. And I think, and we talked about this. I want Rathbone to be the third left side guy behind Hughes and OEL, and I want Dermott to play on the right. So there's another guy you can put on the right side. So I don't know. Money's
Yeah.
got to make sense. But you're right. League minimum or 1 million or less, that might be worth it. But
Yeah.
would he come? Yeah. Does he want to come back here?
I think so, right? I don't know. Actually, I don't know. It's a different regime, different coach, right? There's nothing from the existing group that might have pushed him out.
Yeah.
And he's from here, right? I think if there's no better scenario if he did want to come back here than this one.
Yeah.
Right. Just the fact that all the previous stuff's gone, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. What an exodus, huh? That season.
Yeah.
Markstrom, Tanev, Toffoli, Stetcher.
Yeah. That was fun.
That was great. Can you go to Jack's from 10:55? Are the Canucks going to get some goons? Rangers got Reeves, and look where they are. So 2 parts here. Do they need a goon? I say no. Are the Canucks tough enough as a team? I'm not sure.
So Ryan Reeves has played 14 games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year. He has 0 goals, 0 assists, and 4 penalty minutes.
So what's he doing?
Do you think that's the reason they made it? Right?
No.
He's not a difference maker, right?
Yeah.
You look at his analytical, like he is a sink out there, right? Like he allows so much more opportunity than he generates. Just because he's on a team that has happened to win 2 rounds doesn't mean that he's the reason, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Canucks had Maxime Lapierre back in the day. Is he the reason the Canucks made the Stanley Cup final in 2011?
I'd argue no.
No, probably not, right? Yeah. These one-off guys, it's I think it's just a weird argument.
So, okay. So we agree we don't need a guy like Reeves. Do you think the Canucks are tough enough? So we have guys like Shen that will drop the gloves. Miller plays kind of tough. Podkolzin can play tough, but we don't have McEwen or Gadjevich or any of those type of guys. Hamonic would actually drop the gloves a lot too, but he's gone.
Yeah, but I mean, most of these teams, I mean, like it's not a difference maker in my mind, right? Like, it's not winning you games. You look at all these teams that are good teams, and it's because they're good teams, right? Edmonton isn't winning a bunch of games because they're getting in fights and doing all this stuff. It's because they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl putting up just a boatload of points each, right? Averaging 2 points a game each. The addition of, if they had Ryan Reeves on their team, they're not winning that series in 4, right? It's I think you don't really need these tough guys or any of that. Like, it's nice to have toughness, but you don't need a Raffi Torres out there every game, or a Matt Cook or a Ryan Reeves to win hockey games.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Raffi Torres, good pull from the past. Yeah. That guy was scary, man. That guy was scary.
Yeah, he is frightening.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. It's 11:04. You want to wrap?
Sure. That's like our time. That's our time.
Yeah. We're actually going to probably go a minute over that today. So everyone, thank you very much for joining. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe to all that good stuff. If you missed any part of it, you can rewind. You can catch it tomorrow morning on your favorite podcast platform. Clay, any parting words this final show of May?
Yeah, I can't believe we're into June and we still have stuff to talk about. I guess I'll let you tell them what day we're on next week. But aside from that, I can't wait for these series to start. I think I think we are going to see a contrast in playing styles for sure. The Wild West versus the kind of stingy East because of the quality of goaltending. And I think it's good. I think it's nice to have that kind of the variety in the series for sure.
Yeah. So our next show is not Monday next week. We both have sporting of our own. So we are moving it to Tuesday at 10 p.m. I think it's June 7th. I just typed it. Yep, that is June 7th. That'll be after game 4 of both series.
Nice.
So they could both be over by then. Probably not. But could be if they are as big of a mismatch as they might look on paper. So that could be interesting. We probably won't get to our preseason things, but I might get to it, and then we can talk about if we have absolutely nothing else to go on. But we got basically a month left of playoffs, and then we start getting into the wild off season.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, it'll be good. My guess is that we will be in the middle of the series as opposed to at the end of them, but you never know. Crazier things have happened, but we still have hockey to talk about, and maybe we have some more Canucks news to talk about too. Maybe they revamp another department in their organization. We'll see.
Hopefully for our sake. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. We hope you have a good week, a good night, and we will talk to you next time.